At least one person is reported killed as Israeli police used tear gas and water cannons against Palestinian protesters as they mark the annual event called Land Day. They're remembering the death of 6 Arabs killed by police in demonstrations against a land grab by Israel back in 1976. There have also been unrest at various checkpoints in the West Bank. RT's Paula Sleer is standing by one of them. Paula, we've seen the armoured cars, the tear gas, water cannons being used. Now reports of up to 130 people wounded across the West Bank. The latest update from your location now.
Well, I'm standing at the Jerusalem-Ramallah checkpoint known as Calandio, and in the last hour or so, events here have started to quieten down. As you see behind me, the Israeli police have pushed further into the Palestinian city of Ramallah. They've managed to push back protesters, and they formed a cordon to stop protesters coming any closer to the checkpoint where I'm standing. In the last few minutes, there haven't been any ambulances, but throughout the day, we were witnessing ambulances ferrying injured people forward and backwards. And now, as I speak, there is an ambulance, so that certainly is an indication that the violence is ongoing. We are hearing reports of injured. We also know that one high-profile Palestinian legislator has been hurt in the clashes here at Calandio. Now, the army and the police have been using water cannons, and they've also been using a vehicle that, when it sprays water, emits an awful-smelling liquid, and that was in an effort to try and disperse the crowds. At the same time, there is another bit of machinery that they've been using that emits very high frequency sounds, and that too was to try and get the demonstrators to leave from here. Elsewhere, we know that the clashes are continuing in Jerusalem. The police there are on high alert, their highest alert. There have been policemen on horseback as well. In the West Bank at various checkpoints, as well as in several cities there, we're hearing reports of injured. We know of one 8-year-old boy who allegedly was run over by an Israeli vehicle. But as you can well imagine, these reports are coming through. They're difficult to verify independently at the moment, although we are hearing from Palestinian sources that at least one person has been killed along the Israel-Gaza border at areas, and that 5 people there have been injured. The International Red Cross puts the number of injured at more than 130.
Now, Paula, one might assume that today's demonstrations are just limited to the area surrounding you, but we understand here at RT that it has much broader geographical implications.
Certainly, the whole purpose of today's demonstrations is to coincide with Land Day, which happened back in 1976 when 6 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli land confiscation program. And since then, this annual event has been supported not only by Palestinians but by international activists around the world. Today, we are witnessing some 82 countries, many of whom have sent caravans of support. And we know that some of those caravans come from as far afield as India, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and these are supporters coming here either to the Palestinian territories or to Israel's northern and southern borders, let me add. Along the Israeli-Jordanian border, there are some 20,000 people who've gathered. Now, we're not hearing any reports of violence so far, but I can tell you that one of the groups who is there is a Jewish group that's calling itself Jews United Against Zionism, and they've been holding up flags, Palestinian flags, and showing their support for the Palestinian struggle. Along the Israeli-Lebanon border, there are at least 3,000 people who've gathered. The Lebanese army is on high alert. There are no reports of violence there. In fact, there are people who've turned out with their families, and at the moment the mood there is quite cheerful. But as I say, all of this is an attempt to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people under the slogan of Global March to Jerusalem.
All right, RT's Paula Sleer there reporting live from the checkpoint between Ramallah and Jerusalem. Thank you very much.